4-man mosh pit followed by a tomb. Oh no!
Oh, a huge light bomb coming in on the Genji, and that's a 5-man light bomb. They're gonna follow up, and they're gonna get 1, 2, 3 kills.
And it's gonna be everybody dying. Oh my God! When does this happen? Everybody's dead.
G'day. Welcome back to Nexus Gaming Series Cast. I am your host once again, the Line Bus, and I've decided to cast my team again, just because if I miss the matches, I may as well talk about them. So tonight we have, well, a replay of Crimson 5 facing off against Greg. He's a good egg. So we see here that Crimson 5, as I type out their name as I'm just updating the stream title, banned out Battlefield of Eternity and Dragonshire. Not quite a fan of those maps, but understandable. They're not everyone's cup of tea, so to speak. Meanwhile, we see Greg had banned out Towers of Doom and Infernal Shrines, and they actually, oh thank God they banned out Infernal Shrines. I was not going to cast them if they didn't ban out Infernal Shrines, because I'm just like, nah, if I see that, I'm out. But anyway, we do have Ultrac Pass. Also, the Infernal Shrines thing is not necessarily because of how my team plays it. It is just because I think I've casted almost every other series so far. I've just been very fortunate that neither series I've had tonight will have that map in it, so let's go. But right, speaking about let's go, let me jump it on over into the game as I make sure I do the OBS thing right this time and not like last one. Right, let's see how this goes. Game. Okay, it works better if you push the play button. Lime. There we go. So, very quiet. Why is it so quiet? It's so quiet. On the left-hand side, we have Rewind on Lucio, Mango Man on the... Why is it so quiet? Mango Man is on Tracer. Zeon is on Li Ming. Aurum on the Garrosh and Shadonis on the Yorel. I don't like how quiet this is. I haven't done anything by sound. On the right hand side we have Farfanugan is on Diablo, Synthesis on the Tassadar, Chim Chim on Leoric, Corrosive on Uther, oh hell yeah, and Climbable Unk on the Shooty Gunman. Raynor, that's his name. So, why is this... I was like, this is so quiet, it's so weird, I really have to fill the void. But we do have now waves crashing, and fortunately people pushing buttons making it less awkward for me. I just don't even know why there isn't an announcer. Let me just... Oh, I really want to have a quick check of that. Sorry, give me a moment as I'm going to have a quick check as to why that isn't happening. I don't want to just go through my options and reveal everything. Sound... Yeah, voices... Announcer's on! That's weird. It's just being weird. Got it. Sorry, let me just start it again. Not start again, but let me just get it going once again. As we do see Corrosive does hit the hammer onto Rewind. Synthesis does try to warm him off but wasn't able to quite find it. Meanwhile, Leoric into Li Ming doesn't feel like the greatest matchup for Leoric. However, well, actually, I imagine Tassadar would be very good into Urel, in fact. But I wouldn't expect a... I wouldn't be surprised if there's a swap and we see him come down bot, him being Leoric come down bot, and Greymane, I don't know, this one going up top. But we do see at least that Crimson 5 a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? A bit more onto it with their camps, however, it does appear... Okay, both these teams are going to take a while doing these camps, so let's just ignore it for now. Farfanugan comes up into Zeon. Zeon actually gets grabbed right as they blink, not ideal, it looks a bit jank to me. But we do see now they're in danger. Farfanugan does get the stun onto them. Chim Chim, however, did back out, and that is a very alive Li Ming. We do see Tracer's nearly done with camp. However, despite they started first of it, we do see camp. Greg picks up the camp first, but then it goes over to the... both sides will have them crashing at the same time. Shadonis is doing their best to bully out the Raynor, so to speak. Not quite the easiest matchup for most traditional offlaners. But fortunately, with things like Urel, with jump as an engage, it does make things much easier for her to get on top of things such as like Leoric. And we see the level 4s are actually through for same time for both teams now. Good thing for Urel, she actually has Dauntless because it makes things much harder for Climbable Unk to get through all her armor, but they'll still try their hardest. Meanwhile, Leoric is trying their best against Li Ming. Li Ming getting a little bit melee range too much, not quite ideal, but sometimes it happens. Meanwhile, we do see the scuffle once again happening mid. Right, let's have actually look at quests because I've not mentioned the Corrosive somehow has 0 stacks of Silver Touch. It happens sometimes, but I imagine once Tracer he puts it on target, starting to get auto attacked by Tracer, it's going to do a lot. Nugan decides to change tactic and go back up. I thought we were going to see a gank onto Shadonis, but no, not quite going to see anything like that. As it is just Corrosive taking on bottom wave. Other quest to note, we do have the Static Charge Tassadar, Warbreaker Garrosh, and actually, I don't know what this sounds called, Subwoofer. I showed it one. Subwoofer on Lucio. I guess it shows how many heroes it hits at once and then quickly resets. So it does show the tick counter. Interesting. We do see Chim Chim takes a relatively chunky hit as Li Ming is smelling blood in the water, so to speak. That is Leoric dodging the orb by stepping back into the lane, and they will survive. Well, we do see Climbable Unk and Synthesis doing the camp for Greg. Meanwhile, Rewind has started the camp for Crimson 5, but it will be just that little bit later than Greg's camp. Right. Let's close this and see where we're going to go. Wait. Oh no, Ace of Hole, good. Shadonis is now going to jump into danger. They walk near a wall. Actually cancels the charge from Farfanu. No, they didn't. Charge coming out now. It flips Shadonis once more. However, jump back up from Urel. And that will be Urel escaping. Urel is actually a very hard hero to kill. You really need to wait out that jump, so to speak, because if she just gets that, she's out. Scot-free. Farfanugan is going to start the objective. We do see Team Greg is now starting to rally around it. Mango Man is stepping onto Corrosive. Corrosive not quite wanting to have a deal with it. However, if you're Mango Man, you don't want to step up too much into the comp of Greg because, well, if Diablo can find a charge onto a Tracer, they're very much dying. Actually, Synthesis puts a wall in, well, Tesla puts a wall in between the Diablo and the Tracer, which means actually that may have been Tracer got to live because she was out of the flip range of Diablo. Seven talents are through both sides. We actually see a level advantage is currently through for Crimson 5. So not quite ideal if you are... Oh, a little bit anti-synergy there as we see Aurum throwing Farfanugan as Shadonis tries to drop him. See Pulse Bomb hitting the Diablo just in the AoE with it. Shadonis actually gets stunned to wall. We see Farfanugan trying their best to hold on, and Corrosive's trying to keep up with all the damage coming into it, but Xeon is doing a little bit too much. Climbable Unk is in danger. We do see the damage reduction coming out by Corrosive thinking about armor, and there'll be Mango Man. Not quite able to find the kill, but definitely put the fear of God into that Greg player, so to speak. And actually we see Ufa going down first. Synthesis is trying to channel, decides that it's not worth it. Farfanugan goes in, does get stunned onto Aurum. We see a lot of damage coming out. Actually, there's Pulse Bomb fighting Farfanugan. Farfanugan taking a lot of damage. Synthesis has to dodge the follow-up orb. Farfanugan take a little bit of damage, but Fire Stomp build not quite keeping them alive as they are going down just before they can reach their own gate. And that is a very good first fight for Crimson 5. Definitely putting Greg under the pump already. Xeon now is going to push up on Chim Chim. Chim gets a swipe, but gets a nice little hand onto Xeon. Doesn't pop spell armor? How does this work? Huh. Interesting. Spell armor doesn't pop that throughout the whole channel. Anyway, we can see objectives are picked up and pushing through for Crimson 5. We see Chim Chim barely dodges that orb and has to push back out. See that the side of Greg clears out mid pretty easily. However, bottom is where we're going to see the largest push from the side of Crimson 5 as we have 3 members down here. However, Greg is rallying to the point. Aurum is in a little bit of danger. We see if Farfanugan did try to get the stun combo onto him. Didn't quite fight it. But heroics are through for both sides. Let's have a look what's happening. We have High Five Lucio. We have Ardent Defender. I was looking at it. I had Ardent Defender in my head. I just couldn't think of it. From the Urel. Pulse Rounds, I believe. Yep. Pulse Rounds. Tracer. Warlord's challenge on Garrosh and Disintegration on Li Ming. And on the other side, we have Black Hole, Tassadar, Divine Shield on Uther, Lightning Breath, Diablo, Entomb, Leoric. Okay, we got that easy bake oven going. And then we have a Hyperion from Moreno. So we got a little bit of a... Both teams do definitely want a team fight. Climble Unk hits that Q last second, meaning they aren't going to get stunned by Aurum. That means they get a little bit longer. Farfanugan nearly takes an orb to the face. Boss does actually, and nearly gets leashes onto Farfanugan. Not quite what you want if you're the Diablo. You can't exactly take a boss by yourself. You are the boss who gets taken by himself sometimes. We can see that Crimson 5 is looking to step up onto the Leoric, but Leoric just unstops it. That Wraith form does so much for him. Meanwhile, we do see a little bit of a scuffle coming down as Farfanugan gets flipped. However, they do charge straight onto Aurum as they are pushing through. We hear the you can't stop me push by Aurum. Lightning Breath getting a massive slow. Aurum gets pushed back into the team, does use W on Climbable Unk to heal up out of a range of dying at least. And we see Lucio pushes off that little frozen lake in the middle, which classified as a wall. Like, you're like, yeah, that's a wall. There's terrain there. You're like, no, it's not a wall, but it's going to happen. But meanwhile, we see Climbable Unk is getting chased down by Mango Man and Rewind, and there'll be them going down. Dropping Hyperion in panic by the looks of it, but that will be a good kill by the side of Crimson 5. Oh. Heck, that it just got that Boomfox, no reason. That was a weird interaction. Lucio managed to escape through Farfanugan. Farfanugan now in danger, having to back out. We can see they're getting focused down relatively well. Lucio with a big knockback, hitting that center bit of a Q, which you can see. They haven't actually completed quest yet, but that very close point of Q means they do get to push out quite a bit. And that will be Crimson 5 with a level 13 advantage. We see Illusion is picked up from Li Ming, so we're going into that traditional Blink, that traditional Calamity build is what I'm trying to say, as opposed to the more kind of potent but squishy glass cannon Calamity build. Farfan, you can find Shadonis. Shadonis does not want to go into war and decides just to walk away politely. But we do see it will be a 5-5 coming out. Level 13 South through for both sides. Xion doesn't quite find the orb they're looking for. Shadonis, however, will get stunned in wall. I imagine we're going to see a... no, we don't see it. Actually, Warlord's challenge comes out, finds two. Aurum getting relatively low. See Diablo tries to finish them off with a Lightning Breath. D-Shield comes out onto Chim Chim. Chim Chim is going to try to escape. I was going to say, I think Mango Man will be looking for a kill. However, no, it'll be Farfanugan being pushed back through. They get stunned on the wall. However, it's Farfanugan going down first. Excellent test wall, meaning that there's going to be a decent amount of damage coming out. Chim Chim, you do not want to go in there. Yep, good turnaround. And we do see that it is another team fight being won by Crimson 5. It's very much feeling in their favor at the moment. It's not the easiest matchup. It's 5 kills to 0. And it looks like that Greg is struggling a little bit in this mid game so far. I'd like to see what they do to come back with it, because I imagine 16s is where it gets very scary for both sides, especially if you have a infinitely flipping Diablo, a Benediction Uther, but you also get things like, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Mortal Combo on Garrosh. Tracer becomes a nightmare at 16 as well. We see Farfanugan did go for the stun onto his Xion, but couldn't quite find the wall. And they just kind of get ejected into the middle of the frozen lake here and get to live just that bit longer. Right, let's see where we're going to go with this. We see Tracer is pushing top. We see Leoric and Shadonis is facing off. Leoric getting that little creepy hand out, making sure they can heal as much as they can. Meanwhile, it looks like we're going to have a 3v3 mid because Reno has gone to deal with Mango Man top. We see Tracer blinks in, does use those pulse rounds. We see Pulse Bomb coming out onto Climbable Unk. Climbable Unk drops the... oh wow, I was going to say drops that, but we do actually see Entomb came out. Oh my god, Aurum is stuck in the middle between a rock and a hard place. They get that stun out, that means they will get the shield, however they will be going down. And that is Garrosh going down. Lucy and Garrosh both found that mid-fight there, because I was too busy watching these two fight. But I'm not going to rewind, because this... to anyone who's watched replays, you know as well as I do that the replay viewer is absolutely garbage in this game. But we do see middle is defended. We see Mango Man looking for a stun onto... oh, Corrosive looking for a stun onto Mango Man. However, 16s are for the side of Crimson 5, so it won't be most opportune of times, especially when they can turn around, because we do see things such as Ricochet coming out. But in saying that, Greg were almost 2 full levels behind before. They're now only 3/4 of one, 2/3 of one. Farfanugan, considering going in, decides to change his mind. Doesn't want to go in. Meanwhile, we do see Chim Chim and Climble Unk clearing waves. Climble Unk looking to go for the camp. Chim Chim actually looking to see if they can find a cheeky entomb. But there's not really many targets that can be entombed here. Really? Really, your entomb target is Garrosh. Garrosh and hopefully Lucio and pray he doesn't have high 5 target nearby. Chim Chim meanwhile clearing bottom wave. We can see Ixion and Aurum rotating down. However, Chim Chim will be alerted to their presence. Thank you to that giant orb flying in. Aurum is dismounted by minions, goes to hit them, and that will be Leoric running away before there could be a collapse of him. Speaking about collapse on people, we see Shadonis is in danger. However, Mega Man realizes that's actually not quite where they want to be. Blink out, and we see Chim Chim now is going to get a relatively large amount of damage dropped on their head. Right, we see Shadonis is doing this. Aurum is trying to get as well. Synthesis steps back just before Aurum can get the stun on combo onto him. We see Farfanugan try to go for flip, couldn't find it, so just fire stomps instead. Aurum going for the stun, doesn't quite find anything. Chim Chim is going around of him. That is the damage reduction build, actually. We see that Wraith Walk build. And we see Shadonis is actually the first one found. We do see Entomb being dropped out, actually stopping Farfanugan and Chim Chim from getting out of there. A little bit of anti-sentry here. We see stun coming out, we see a flip, we see another stun. And that is actually, Lightning Breath can take it out, but it looks like Hyperion was going to do the job if they didn't. We see Aurum and Ixion getting relatively low. Corrosive trying to get back on top of him, but will not do so. And that will be a kill over to the side of Greg, finding that Tracer, which has been so problematic for them so far, actually. Oh, we do see a stun coming on Rewind. Rewind in danger, there's another stun coming out. And yep, if Farfanugan can find a stun and Corrosive is near enough by, that will usually be a solid 5 seconds of stun. In this game, that can very much be a, oh, you just die now. Orb falling just short of Corrosive. It is actually the magic mirror ball at level 16. I know we have seen the arcane orbit a little bit, but mirror ball does a lot of burst damage, especially if all 5 targets can hit. And well, Tassadar is a character who does like to stand still a lot. Wait, what do we see on Tassadar's 13? Shadow Walk, okay, good to know. Oh, Corrosive, I'm disappointed, but I'm not going to talk about that now. Shadonis is just trying to get an objective. We see Farfanugan cancel Shadonis a little bit longer. And Ixiom is in danger. They've stepped up a little bit too far in the back. We see Uncle does find the kill there. Chim Chim, however, and Farfanugan getting relatively low. Mega Man trying to be a step on him. We do see his stun coming out onto Shadonis. As that is actually a lot of damage coming out. Aurum getting a flip on the Farfanugan. Farfanugan, however, flipping Shadonis in return. We see Chim Chim's actually getting relatively low. That swipe keeping him up for a little bit longer as Corrosive's doing his best to keep everyone alive. We do see Garrosh falling down first. Shadonis is taking a lot of damage. Not able to quite get found. We see Chim Chim gets hit by Pulse Bomb. Damage reduces to see if they can live a little bit longer. And that will be Chim Chim living, going down to only just 300 health. And that will be objective once again being channeled by Crimson 5. So much like the other maps that Greg has had, they're finding their footing in the later game, so to speak. Their comp, well, more or less their comp favors this level 16. Chim Chim go back in core and heal. Actually picks up 3 globes, he's fine. We see Farfanugan barely missing wall, however, it does hit that flip. Corrosive wasn't able to quite find anything, thank you to those unstoppables by the Lucio high 5. And that will be Mega Man and Rewind getting out. And funnily enough, despite there being a strong kind of later game for Greg so far, they still don't have any structures. Yes, objective, the cavalry are coming. And we actually see Ixion getting flipped. We see Lucio using high 5 pushback, meaning Farfanugan can't follow up on that combo. And Rewind is actually very onto it today with those high 5s, making sure that, well, Greg can do very little. Mega Man is, I was going to say, Mega Man isn't tuned, but I think, I was going to say, like, I'm pretty sure that they can blink out of it. Lo and behold, they blinked out of it. Chim Chim getting relatively low once again. Actually, Corrosive is found with the Pulse Bomb, not Chim Chim. We can see the Rewind's getting relatively low, however, Chim Chim also very low as well. Bumble Unk in their own right being relatively low. We see Garrosh getting flipped a lot. Unstop coming out, gets a nice double stun onto both Bumble Unk and Synthesis, meaning they get that shield and will live just that bit longer. Meanwhile, Shadonis has been clearing top cavalry this whole time, and this bottom one is only just pushing at the gate now, but we're going to see another scuffle. I went to go say skite. I keep going to say scuffle and fight, and it never works out. But we can see there's a decent amount of damage going onto Ixion. Obviously, Farfanugan is stepping up. This objective this fort probably won't last that much longer. Farfanugan goes on to Mega Man, uses the unstop before they can get pushed back, and Lightning Breath doing a decent amount of damage, not quite getting there. But with that one objective, more or less, it's been evened up by... Actually, yeah, it's been evened up by Greg. There's 2 forts down a side. Kills are relatively even. 20 advantage now through for Greg, as they were behind on talents before. So this is exactly what you need. And we see, yeah, just Ufa and Diablo may not exactly get the kill onto a URL, but maybe a full T5. They have entombed their own Diablo, which is very unfortunate because I believe it was a silence tomb if I saw correctly. Yes, it is buried alive. Unfortunate for them for missing that. Otherwise, let's talk about other heroics. We have Force Barrier on Tassadar. We have Redemption Ufa. We have a team doing boss. And I believe Farfenugan has called like, guys, we're doing boss. We should probably do something about it. Very split, however, from the side of Greg. Crimson 5 is just burning it. Other things to note, we do have Lord of Terror, Diablo, Raiders roll, Raynor. Diablo is very much considering going in. Never mind, Diablo has to go in. He doesn't have a choice of matter. We see him charging onto the Lucio. Rewind in danger, getting all the high fives again. However, it's Lucio going down, which is a little bit too much damage in the middle. Aurum will be next to follow. Krosa barely holding on. We do see them die, but they will have that redemption up. As that is a quick free kill to the side of Greg as they were just fighting under Hyperion. So that was a thing to note. We have Seraphim from... Oh. Krosa is back now. Other things to note, because I've already just ran down quickly the side of Greg while that team fight was just about to go down. We see Total Recall from Tracer. Speaking about Tracer, she is dead. We see Seraphim, Urel, Titanic Might, Garrosh. Actually, this is not Mortal Kombat. That's Earthshaker. Interesting, but stun throw. Tel Rash's element. Tel Rash's elements from Li Ning. And Lucio is just having a little think about it. Synthesis dodging all the shots they can. X-Yun not quite able to hit them, but definitely gave Synthesis a little bit of fright, I imagine, if any of those hit. Meanwhile, we have a split happening here, and yeah, we just see Party. House Party? House Party from Lucio. Right, so we do have Greg clearing that top boss. X-Yun is trying their best to get rid of his bottom boss, but it is doing a little bit of work now. It's not going to quite get through there, I imagine, but it's definitely going to put the pressure on bottom, so to speak, as we see Crimson 5 is making sure they don't lose that fort. Meanwhile, Boss is being taken top, and Greg is now going to see what they can do with, maybe not what they can do with it exactly, but they have confirmed the cavalry, so I imagine we'd see them maybe go with the Mountain Giant or run bottom, one of the two. No, well, Diablo wants to fight. The big fire lizard wants to fight. So let's see where we go with this as I zoom back in a little bit. As we do see that Hyperion is being dropped immediately. That is that first fort, that last fort going down. Aurum unstops at perfect time just before Farfenugan finds a stun. However, Chim Chim steps into backline. We do see a swipe. Imagine we're going to see, actually yes, he does get thrown out by Aurum. And imagine we're going to see an Entomb coming out in just a few moments. And that is an awkward spot. Nice actually wall by Tassadar. Decent stun by Lucio. Synthesis gets relatively low. D-Shield comes out, meaning that Tracer won't be able to find the kill on him. Chim Chim is getting kited a little bit by Mega Man now. Mega Man doing a little bit too much damage, and that will be Chim Chim barely holding on, but will go down ultimately. Slowing Sand, the Mud slowing down Tracer. Tracer, however, won't get to use that Total Recall and will go down before they're able to escape. However, Boss has gone down top. Cavalry is just on it now. Li Ming is trying their best to get rid of mid as well. And Diablo, consider going top. However, realize there's a little bit too many people there. Let's not. Bot has gone down. Mid has gone down. Shadonis is looking to jump in. Jumps in front of a wall. We see stun coming out. However, the Diablo doesn't want any bit of it. And we see... Oh, they're considering maybe going in? No, they are just going to run up top and see if they can get that. Meanwhile, Chim Chim draining on Aurum. Aurum is like, guys, we need to go up here. We need to stop them. But I don't know if it'll be in time. We do see Diablo getting stunned to get targeted by that tower. That will be the tower going down. Chim Chim looking maybe for a Entomb. Gets a little bit of damage reduction. Swipe out. Not able to find anything. And Lucio pushes off just as the Entomb gets out. However, Rewind is found directly onto the wall of that. We see that as Lucio going down. This may be an end call now for the side of Team Greg. Aurum is stuck on a force wall. Does give it stun throw out. Gets taunt onto the side of Greg. However, Greg did have our unstop up. Corrosive have our unstop up, I should say. Mega Man fighting Farfenugan directly under the lightning breath. Farfenugan gets D-Shield popped on them. We'll get a hold on a little bit longer. Corrosive gets done to Mega Man. Meanwhile, this core is falling all while I'm talking about everything else. Chim Chim gets damage reduction on everything else. We wonder if we're going to have a little bit of core throw, as we're going to see Farfenugan and Corrosive go down the same tower. However, Synthesis Unk Climball Unk got to live just long enough, and that will be the first map going over to the side of Greg. Oh, as I do a massive stretch. Oh my gosh. Like, I know how I'm going to break this down, as I'm just going to throw it over to the game's summary screen, because the early game very much felt in Crimson 5's favor. Crimson 5 were able to put the pressure onto Greg early. However, something happened around the 15, 16, 17 mark where Greg were able to kind of bring it back, so to speak, and actually made it very difficult for Crimson 5 to get really anything done. But this is kind of what I thought, like, just before that kind of talent tier came around, I went, actually, this may turn around at 16 just because you get a lot of CC coming out from Greg, and we saw it there. Things to note, however, Leeming did a lot of damage. Diablo did the most damage for Greg. It happens. Lucio, amazing amount of healing. Uther actually gets 72k healing despite being a Uther. Impressive stuff. Otherwise, yeah, everything across the board. Actually, it was very close. Like, it could have gone either way. It's just was up until 16s, it was very much Crimson 5 favor when we felt it swing in favor of Greg, and then like even at 20s it could have gone either way just because Tracer was punching through people at that point, but it wasn't able to quite find anything else. But let's have a look at talents real quick. Anything that stands out, Lucy didn't quite finish his subwoofer talent. We didn't see Tassadar did not finish his quest. Nothing else. Illusionist with orbs, interesting. Is this? Yep, Jumper on Tracer, which we've seen a little bit more, which is definitely more like seeing competitive environment. But yeah, that's a hell of a fight that we've gone throughout these games. Right, let's drop it on over to map view screen as I do this in the correct order. And let's open up the next map, because what do we think it is? Because I don't actually know. I reported it, but I immediately forgot because I was like, oh my god, Alterac. Yes, not shrines. Oh, it's Tomb. The monkey's paw curls. If there are shrines you don't like, let me curl the finger and give you fucking... Let me give you Tomb of the Spider Queen. Apparently a map you love so much, Linebus. But anyway, let me jump on over into the game. As it is loading currently, it's taking its time. It's thinking about it. It's going, yes, maybe quite, yes. Right, let's just click this button, hope it goes by the time. I'm on time. There's the beetle. It's dead. Anyway, let's start with... I don't remember what we started with last time. Let's start with Greg this time, because I think I started with Crimson 5 on the last map. So, we have, as I zoom out, Climbable Unk is... Actually, no, let's zoom in for this one, but... Farfanugan on Diablo again. Corrosive is on Anduin. Climbable Unk is on Gazlo. Chim Chim on the Tychus, and Synthesis once again is on Tesla. And on the left-hand side, we have Treywork... That wasn't the name of the last one. On the... ETC, Mango Man on Lunara, X-Yun on the... Interesting. X-Yun on the Greymane, Rewind on Rhaegar, and Shadonis is back on that. Urel must be very much a favorite of his. What did that say? You know what happens to a golden wind burned by light? Something that happens to everything else. Good luck, have fun. I don't know. Anyway. We do have waves cleared. This very much is a map where Macro Advantage can give you a whole bunch of stuff. It gives you the waves, gives you the gems, gives you experience. However, this is still a map that very much you need a good pick team fight, and both teams can do it. Both teams can do it pretty well. Diablo has their Q to engage. Similarly for Treywork, they also have their Q. See Farfan, you can pick up gems. The only one to pick up gems for the side of Crimson for Greg so far. Meanwhile, Greg gets spread out a little bit more. Stun actually finding... Oh my gosh, that's Shadonis barely holding. No, that will be Chim Chim finding the kill, as it is a grenade, I think, that finished it off, because we do see grenade build. Alright, let's have a look at talents. Okay, we have two stacking here. We do have Prog Rock, ETC, and Static Charge on the Tassadar. Otherwise, everything else is relatively standard. We do see Bomb build Gazlo. Fun. We see Lightwell Anduin. Wouldn't mind seeing... Oh, as I say, I would imagine we see a Lightwell down here. Lo and behold, there's the Lightwell. We see Rhaegar biting it onto Climbable Unk. but not much is going to happen with that. Good camp discipline by Crimson 5 again. They're doing very well in the early game because they are ready to go on these. Meanwhile, we do see 3 members of Greg over on the right camp, which means not the most efficient soaking is happening. Farf and Eugen's kind of been left to their own devices, so to speak, which, knowing that man, he should not be left to his own devices when soaking, especially on Diablo, because he has a high propensity just to go, wall, and charge in. Right, we do have a grenade coming out. That is Ixion getting hit with it, actually, and hit for follow-up route. Now we're getting 2 teams just mashing their face against each other. And actually, with this advantage, Crimson 5 is actually able to find such an early wall on Greg. This is already opening up this lane by a lot. You can now just go into this cheek. Anyway, we do see Climball Unk is now in danger. Imagine Treywork has slide. We do see 12 gems on Climball Unk, and actually there'll be Unk going down, losing those 12, as that is the first kill that Crimson 5 has managed to find. And that for Greg is actually a little bit disastrous, so to speak, as you do not want to lose that many gems at this point of the game. Speaking of which, Farfenugan decides to turn in, going, you know what, he's right, I don't want to lose that many gems at this point of the game. Shadonis is also like, you know what, he's right, don't want to lose any gems at this point of the game. Corrosive barely doesn't see Shadonis, doesn't quite cancel in time, finds a root. Synthesis is going to go a little bit of a damage, doesn't throw a Q on it, saving it for a cup of tea, maybe a little bit of lie down. But we do also see Greymane picked up bottom camp in the meantime, and, well, Crimson 5 is just off getting handed at this point. We can see they're 5 off, 4 off, 3 off, something around that. But meanwhile, Greg is just even further off, with 20 off. And yep, we do see Handon is now available for Crimson 5. Rewind carrying most of the gems. Mango Man carrying a decent amount as well. Chidon's a little bit, not quite as much. Wait, I have a bundle for this, it's this one. Yep, there you go, objectives carried. As see Treywork's handing a Diablo gets a stun onto the ETC, however that will not be ETC going down. A little bit too much health, and on a follow-up for Farfenugan. Rewind is now handing in. Farfenugan scouts them. The Fire Stomp doesn't actually find them in time. They barely hand in before it hits. Right. Meanwhile, we have Climball Unk playing very safe this time. Be like, actually, where's the team? I've died this way before. I do not want to die this way again. And Greg is keeping an eye on the objective now. They're really not wanting to get turned in. Farfenugan, however, is in danger. Does get the stun, trying to get out. That shove, however, won't do it. Corrosive is in danger. They're trying to try their best to get out as well. Unfortunately, Anduin cannot pull themselves to an ally, and that will be Anduin going down. Once again, we're seeing a very strong early game from the side of Crimson 5, while Greg is struggling a bit. And this is a map, actually, where if you have that early game, you may have it down pat. Blue Web Weavers are descending. Imagine, I did see this was happening ever since Gazlo did die early on, just because they lost 12 gems, and that lost them a lot of momentum in this early portion of the game. However, by no means this will break the Camel's back, and we're going to get so imagine some pretty good fights coming up. So Synthesis is drove on by Ixion a little bit. Ixion, however, to get that ping retreat on them, ping call on them, ping of retreat on them, and we won't see too much more happening with that. Other quests that I haven't noted being picked up so far. We do have Piercing Light picked up by Anduin and Master Assassin Tychus. Let's close that now. As we do see there is now a 2-level advantage for Crimson 5. As Greg is just doing a little bit of chasing, they're not really also they've left more gems behind. Yeah, as we do see now defense coming out top, as you're like, actually, no, we need to get this. We do see Diablo has finished their Soul Stone, and that will be this objective falling down. Meanwhile, Gazlo is trying their best to defend against the URL. Not quite having the best of luck, but not even worse of luck. They do decide to back out because they like actually don't want to get jumped on by the scary goat lady. The scary goat lady does indeed jump onto the wave of Greg, but we now see Greg has turned in. Crimson 5 still has a good 30 that they're going to get rid of, and that is actually going to put them in a firm advantage when it comes to gems thus far. Tassadar decides to actually go, no, you're not turning in. That's not happening, bud. And we do see them pushing out Crimson 5. Actually, ETC is a little bit of rough spot. Doesn't quite have the kill pressure once again. Chim Chim was heading in throughout that, but Tychus damage missing meant that Treywork was able to get out. But meanwhile, we see heroics coming through. Corrosive gets double jumped on by Mango Man. Ixion looking for the kill. They are going for the throat. They were going, actually I probably could get this, but they decide not to the end. Right, so let's have a look. We do have Ancestral Healing, Rhaegar. We have Sacred Ground? Yeah, Sacred Ground on URL. Leaping Strike Lunara, go for Rogue Greymane, and Moshpit ETC. Speaking of ETC Moshpit, ETC decides not to use it there and back on out. Rewind bites on in, sees if they can get Chim Chim, not quite going down there. Meanwhile, we have yet another wave crashing top, and there is yet going to be more gems wasted if no one gets up there. We see Chim Chim go up. Meanwhile, Climbable Unk is getting pushed in by Shadonis as well. Ixion and Rewind going bottom, and Farfanugan has sniffed it out, so to speak. And actually, the whole of Greek has sniffed it out, so to speak. We do see Ixion trying to get out. Barely misses wall, however, Diablo does get flip onto him slow. Greymane unfortunately goes with a light bomb. Rewind uses Purge, meaning that they aren't going to find the stun. Very fortunate that Rewind was actually watching that, just because your own Greymane bit into a light bomb. You're like, actually, I don't know how I feel about this one. We see charge coming out onto Ixion. Ixion will die. We do actually see that is an excellent grabber bomb coming out. We see Shadonis getting rose below. However, that is ancestral healing going on to Shadonis while ETC dies. They do get jump off. They will get out. And this will now be the first turn in for the side of Greg. As it looks like we're going to have Odin being popped bottom, but immediately walked mid. And that is a dead Rewind. Oh, actually no, Rewind gets to live. Will Farfanugan find the stun? No, the slow from Mango Man means he's not able to find it. Chim Chim doesn't quite find the kill. Rewind finds a tap, however, meaning that we'll be able to heal up. Mango Man is going to back for resources. Euro took out Siege Giants bottom and will be clearing bottom. We have Climbable Unk will be going to fight them now with Webweaver. Meanwhile, Greg is going to be pushing top with Webweaver, and Trade Work is going to be first to respond. Meanwhile, Rhaegar is going to clear out mid, and we see Greymane and Mango Man now pushing up. Farfanugan goes for stun onto Trade Work, however, does get slid for their efforts. I imagined we were actually going to see Mosh there, but we didn't. Light Bomb coming out, a little bit mistimed. I don't know what's really happening there. The Light Bomb seemed to be a little bit disjointed from the Diablo's initiation, so to speak. Yeah. We do see now that they are going to back out. Rewind bites onto the Webweaver, and the Webweaver will go down. Meanwhile, the mid one is still barely up. We'll get another wave off, clearing that wave. Unfortunately, those are 3 gems lost that Greg can't quite get. Treywork goes in, gets minigunned a little bit by Tychus, meaning they're not quite wanting to commit to it. Rewind loses his amount of health. Farfanugan doesn't quite find the stun, however, will find follow-up flip. Lightning Breath coming up. That is the electric fence coming out, and that's 20 gems. Will Farfanugan be able to make sure that no one steps into it? Team Greg does hold ahead of those 20 gems, and both teams have turned in now, and those 20 lost. It's actually even in the gem game again. That is an excellent stun, meaning they get to peel for Synthesis. However, Farfanugan goes in. We see Treywork is trying their best just to hold on for dear life, because that is a mini-gunning Tychus running at them. Synthesis takes a decent amount of damage for their troubles thanks to Mango Man of the backline, however will not go down. And we can see that they're actually looking at turn-in. Are they? Don't make me a liar. Yes, there's turn-in happening now. As between even Farfanugan and Climbable Unk alone, that is 49 gems that they definitely want to offer them. And the second third Webweaver phase will go over to the side of Greg. Farfanugan pushes his W button. You see Rewind, Mango Man, and Ixion all posturing ready to go. Keep in mind that ETC is only just respawned now. He'll be running top, but I don't know if he gets... Oh, actually, he may get to the fort just before Webweaver's drop. Stun coming out. That is actually Shadonis going down first, walks in front of a wall. Not quite something you want to do with Diablo. And we can now see that this is a bit more hairier defense than you'll want if you're the side of Crimson 5, and we do see them backing out. Meanwhile, Yrel has been left to clear bottom again. Climbable Unk is trying to walk up that mid Webweaver, but no, decides we'll pester Shadonis from bottom lane. Meanwhile, we have a continuing push here, top by Greg. That was a better combo. Light Bomb and Charge went up at the same time. Treywork slides out, isn't able to quite find their way out as Lightning Breath finishes them off. And I think that once again is... I don't know if ETC's been actually able to use Mosh in this game. It's been very difficult for him to find the time to do so, just because there are just that many interrupts from the side of Greg. We do see Diablo Q plus E, we see Gazlo E plus R, we see Tassadar Black Hole, we see Light Bomb Anduin, we see Grenade Tychus. Literally every hero has a way to stop Mosh. So that's why it's not the easiest team to Mosh into, but if you can find it, you're getting a lot of value with it. Greg decides to do boss. bear up a talent, may as well. But it looks like that Crimson 5 is not quite wanting to... Oh. Okay, they paused. Lunara is back. And we see Boss is actually relatively low. However, Climbable Unk is going to keep an eye on things. Shadonis is wanting to step in. They've left Corrosive to their own devices. Imagine we're going to see Boss get leashed here. Yep. Meanwhile, Corrosive is getting dove on by Ixion. Ixion actually finds the kill onto them. Lunara, however, will go down in process. There goes Greymane. Climbable Unk is holding on. Treywork gets hit by a lot of damage as well. That will be Rewind going down next. And that is a 3-for-1. Not ideal if you're Crimson 5, but you at least found the healer of Greg, which means they're now not as easily able to do this boss. They may need Climbable Unk's turrets to help with that, but the side of Crimson 5 do still have turn-in. That's probably the most important thing to know. And I imagine we'll see a... That is actually a very good use of turrets, just to get vision, because these turrets don't last an amazing amount of time, but they do at least last long enough to be a nuisance, as I was about to say. And that where we see Boss getting pulled over now. Shadonis is trying to hand over 37, but the turrets is keeping too well an eye on her. She uses swing, uses insta mount, and will not quite be found this time. Sorry, give me a moment. Right, Climbable Unk finds turn-in. Lunara is just going to give many a vision in mid here, thank you to that eye. And we do see Greg's getting close to turn-in. We do see that actually ETC has found Treywork manages to slide through Farfenugan not able to get the light bomb off once again. And we do see now camp is getting invaded. Crimson 5 meanwhile does have to deal with top as it is a boss hitting core. Not going to hit it for much just because we have Greymane and a lot of others hitting it. So those are very good heroes for killing that. And actually we do have, no we don't have the bonus damage to non-heroic targets on Lunara. Right. Both teams have turned in now. The side of Crimson 5 has slightly more gems. However, we do see Root coming out. Shadonis doesn't quite get hit by it. And that is a 41 gem Urel pushing in. And we do actually see a team fight coming out. I thought we were going to see Climbable Unk try to get something there, but not quite. We see a light bomb. That's a big combo coming out. That's 4150 gems lost almost. And that is, look at that sea of gems as we do see the side of Greg trying to push him out. Mango Man is trying to kite Farfenugan. Farfenugan spread from the rest of the team. Ixion trying to find Chim Chim. Chim Chim uses dash to get out. That was a very low health Tychus, but not quite able to find the kill on them. And we do see now that is Climbable Unk looking at turn-in. And this may be a kind of final push territory. They may have taken a little bit long to turn in as well. Urel is back up in just a little bit over 15 seconds. Same for ETC. Greymane will be the latest, but it'll be up in time probably for Web Weavers to not quite end, but still do a decent amount. Okay, we do hear Spell Shield was popped on Mango Man. Not ideal for them. But we do now see that Greg is pushing into the fort. Keep, rather. That's what that building's called, not fort. Right. I actually hope this was called Crimson 5, but I just haven't messed up this whole time. It is. It is good. But we do see now Farfenugan stepping up. Mega Man is getting chased out. Gems picked up by Shadonis, and we do see these... Weebies, as I said, did land more or less when Greymane would be up, which is probably for the best if you're Crimson 5. Shadonis jumps on. Farfenugan does hit with the hammer. Farfenugan stuck between a rock and a hard place, does get light bomb push on, but does push him into the wall. Level 20 is not quite here for Greg yet, so this may be a little bit earlier fight. We do see massive mosh from ETC, but they're not going to have a damage to follow up just because that Graver Bomb messed up their combo. They didn't have a damage to follow up. Shadonis is forced to back it up by Lightning Breath. That's level 20 is now through for the side of Team Greg. We do see that Lord of Terror picked up once again. We do see now double kill for Tychus. Tychus now finishing Master Assassin. Chi called by Farfenugan. That call was going down to these free catters the whole time, and that will be the game. And the series going over to Greg. GG both sides. Well played. Treywork was out. He's like, I've left the game. I'm done. But, right, nicely done, guys. Nicely done both sides. So, let's have a look at the stats and see how that went for both teams. When I remember how to do this properly. Game summary. Change. Right. So, apparently we're looking at talents first. We can see here that, well, relatively standard stuff across the board. Interesting to see Treywork went mic check and not Encore you see a lot with ETC these days just because of the amount of cooldown reduction it gives on Mosh. It means that with Mosh you actually do able to go, yeah, you know what, actually, I can just rip it and not feel guilty if it doesn't quite find its mark because I'll have it soon enough. Otherwise, everything else here makes sense. There's nothing here that's kind of making me go, are you sure about that? Even Mic Check. Mic Check is a talent I use a lot before Encore. I like Mic Check a lot. It gives you a lot of peel. It gives you a lot of W's and just does a lot of that extra bits of damage that you are wanting when you are ETC. Right, what was this map again? Tomb of Spider Queen. Other things, no, not really. Other things not here in terms of talent. It's interesting that we see double pull without the pull heal, but it works out because we do see Rhaegar and Anduin about 10k difference, but did go out to Anduin slightly. Otherwise, in terms of damage, Chastar would lead this time. Actually, Lunara barely ahead of him, and in terms of soak, Gazlo and Uriel were basically even on siege damage, but Gazlo actually squeezed out a fair bit of soak, but that could have been the kills going over in favor of the side of Greg this game. But still, on paper, it looks like it was very close. And again, Crimson Vive kind of had a cleaner early game than Greg. However, Greg managed to get those 10s and put it back to them. So let's drop on over to the game map screen. Switch. As we do see, it was a 2-0 by Greg. They picked up Alterac Pass, managed to win a pretty back. They won a game where they were struggling a little bit, and then managed to get the click in the late game, and then they won Tomb of Spider Queen. Again, a little bit of struggle, not quite as much as Alterac, but then in that mid-game, even early game area, they managed to start getting ahead, and it kind of snowballed out of control from there. Just because Tomb of Spider Queen is one of those maps where it can be snowballing, because they got, 3 Web Weavers in a row, which meant that there was such a harsh macro pressure on Crimson 5 that it was just ultimately insurmountable. But anyway, that is going to be it for me this evening. I have been your caster, V-Line Bus. And to anyone's watching, I wish you a good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending where you are in the world, because time zones are weird. And I will see you in the Nexus. Goodbye for now.